When I was at my absolute poorest, I got sucked into some kind of survival game. The challenge was to survive 7 days on just $50, and the winner would walk away with $1 million. As someone who might as well be certified as a professional at being broke, I knew exactly how to survive on next to nothing. That prize money had my name written all over it. Chapter 1. I was sucked into some game world with 99 other people. The system's robotic voice announced, "Welcome, all 100 players, to the survival of the poorest. Starting funds, $50. Objective, survive 7 days inside the game. The winner gets $1 million in prize money. Overspending, dying, or stepping outside the designated area will be treated as a forfeit, and you will carry $1 million in debt." The voice paused for a moment, then, with a sly tone, it continued, "Now then, do any cowards want to back out?" A young punk scoffed, "Quit? Are you kidding me? 7 days? I could last that long just drinking water." A chubby guy in a cheap t-shirt next to him wiped his sweat and said, "Exactly. I can buy some bread with those $50. Just stretch it out, and it'll be enough. Go big or go home. Only an idiot would quit." The crowd buzzed with blind excitement. All 100 players stayed in. Not a single person quit. The system chimed in again. "The game rules are now in effect. Players cannot quit. All 100 players have been deployed. Everyone, welcome to Airport Limbo. Good luck staying alive." Suddenly, a burst of white light flashed before me, and I found myself standing in a modern airport. The place was massive, and I could not even see the end of it. Crowds of people moved back and forth, making it impossible to tell who was a player and who was an NPC. My game wallet displayed the untouched $50 I had started with, and my interface showed 3 stats: hunger, thirst, and energy, all of which were currently in order. I spotted a convenience store across the way, so I headed over to check out the prices. As I walked up to the refrigerated section, a panicked cry rang out. Holy crap. It was that chubby guy from earlier, staring hard at the convenience store's cold case. "A bottle of water is $15. That's robbery." I walked over and scanned the shelves, my heart sinking. Cupcakes were $50, sandwiches were $40, buns were $10 each, and even the cheapest packaged crackers cost $18. A daily budget of $7 was not even enough to cover half a bottle of water. The chubby guy looked at me, his face full of despair. "Player 66, we're screwed. This money's only enough for 3 bottles of water. We're going to die within a week." I sighed. The system isn't running a charity. I knew it wouldn't be that simple. Other players also crowded into the convenience store, looking similarly shocked and panicked. The chubby guy pulled me aside and said, "I'm player 44, Omari Hayes. Let's team up, okay? It'd be good to have someone to watch your back in the game. If anyone messes with you, I can take them down." He demonstrated some grappling moves, and his skills seemed pretty decent. However, before I figured out the game rules, I did not want to team up with anyone, so I politely declined. After that, I left the convenience store on my own. My first priority was to find water. Free water. Outside the restrooms, I found a water fountain. Then, I spotted 2 discarded plastic water bottles nearby, washed them clean, and filled both to the brim. My water problem was solved, and it cost me nothing. Next up was getting some energy. I saw a cafe up ahead. On the condiment station, packets of white sugar, creamer cups, and brown sugar were neatly arranged. Sugar was a crucial energy source, and the packets could come in handy in emergencies to prevent low blood sugar. With a blank expression, I calmly walked over like I was just grabbing something at home. A dozen sugar packets and a few creamers slipped into my pocket in under 2 seconds. Once I was done, I calmly walked out of the cafe and found a secluded corner. There, I tore open 2 sugar packets and dumped them straight into my mouth. The intense sweetness exploded across my tongue, giving me a cheap illusion of fullness. Energy solved. Cost, $0. The airport's AC was cranked up full blast, cold as a freezer. I figured the system did it on purpose because the colder it was, the faster a person burned through energy. Chapter 2. My thin clothes could barely block out the cold, so I had to keep moving to stay warm. Thankfully, I found a blanket in the trash someone had tossed after getting off their flight. As time went on, the hunger grew intense. At 8 p.m., I wandered over to a bakery. The leftover bread behind the glass display case was giving off a warm, buttery smell. My stomach let out a loud growl. Relying on my broke girl instincts, I figured this was the hour when the bakery would start marking things down. Sure enough, the bread that was originally $30 cost $15. However, that still was not good enough. I knew that close to closing time, the discounts would be even lower, maybe even free. Every dollar I saved was another chance to survive. So, I sat in a chair across from the bakery, resting with my eyes half closed. Just then, someone used the public game broadcast and anonymously posted, "Come to the bakery in Section A on level 3. Everything is half off. Half off bread. It's in Section A. Hurry, don't take it all. That's mine." Dozens of players rushed in from every direction, frantically charging toward the bakery. In just seconds, the small storefront turned into a mob scene. In the chaos, I saw people waving cash while others straight up grabbed bread off the shelves. The employees panicked as they shouted, "Please line up." However, no one listened. Within minutes, every discounted item, including the loaf I had been eyeing, was cleared out. The people who managed to buy something looked relieved, like they had just survived a disaster, while those who came up empty were slamming their fists and staring in despair. The area was filled with other players cursing, complaining, and sighing hopelessly. My hunger bar rose to 30. I took a deep breath, pushed down the cramping in my stomach, and shifted my gaze away from the chaotic crowd toward the massive flight information display screen high up in the airport. Red flight statuses kept scrolling past. It was time to show my real skills. In this airport, players could move freely to any location, even without a ticket. A person could go to the gates. I quickly scanned the big screen and locked onto several delay notices marked in bold red. Flights delayed over 6 hours were my actual targets. Dragging my weak legs, I headed toward a gate. There, I saw that a small group of people had gathered, and the air was thick with frustration and sweat. Gate 102 had been delayed for 8 hours, and the stranded passengers had the airline staff completely surrounded. The staff member was a young woman whose face had flushed red because the passenger's spit was practically hitting her. "Does your airline even know how to do its job? My kid is starving and crying. Do something. Compensation. We demand compensation. Give it to us now." The scene was out of control, and the poor staff member looked like she was about to break down. This is my chance, I thought as I shoved my way into the center of the crowd. However, I was not there to break up the fight, but to position myself in front of the staff. Quiet. I yelled at the top of my lungs. The crowd went silent, shocked by this sudden turn of events. I pointed at the mother holding a crying child and addressed all the passengers, my voice rising with emotion. Just look at how badly this poor kid is crying. Does yelling help the plane take off any faster? The airline messed up, and they need to take responsibility. But what do we need most right in?